In this video, I want to explore ideas around scheduling in Agile teams. I will start by exploring the nature of planning in both structured and Agile project management frameworks. I'll then look in a bit more detail at the basic scheduling techniques applied in Scrum and Kanban and look at why they may not work properly. I will then propose dynamic scheduling approaches as alternatives that can be used effectively by Agile teams. Planning as a process is a combination between programming and scheduling. Programming is the process of identifying and sequencing all the pieces of work to be performed in the project. Scheduling is the process of assigning time and resource to the tasks defined by the program. In traditional or structured project management frameworks, programming is performed largely at the very start of the project. A product breakdown structure is defined that outlines all the deliverables and outcomes that the project will need to deliver. A product flow diagram then places the elements of the product breakdown structure in sequence, and a work breakdown structure is then created that identifies all the activities that must be performed to deliver all the elements previously identified. In Agile frameworks, the programming process is based around the concept of a product backlog. The product backlog is the equivalent of a combined product breakdown structure and work breakdown structure, in that it lists all the deliverables and tasks to be performed. Then, rather than creating this in detail at the start of a process, there is a continuous process of refinement where detail, estimates, and order are added to the items in the product backlog. In structured or traditional project management frameworks, scheduling is performed on the project network, which is the sequencing of all the elements of the work breakdown structure. An algorithm of some kind is applied, usually something like critical path analysis or PERT, and the resultant schedule is then communicated, usually using a mechanism such as a Gantt chart. In Scrum, scheduling is performed on an ad hoc basis during the daily Scrum meeting. There is no mechanism specified in the Scrum framework to determine how the scheduling process will be performed. It is simply stated that the team will self-organize in order to determine the optimal schedule. This assumes that the team is small, co-located, multifunctional, and has end-to-end control. That is, all the work that is performed inside the team, that there are no external dependencies. In Kanban, there is no scheduling process at all. The schedule is embedded in the workflow that the team follows. Backlog items are extracted from the backlog and then executed as defined by the column sequence on the Kanban board. This assumes that all work passes through the same process, that all the backlog items are essentially identical, and that all the work performed is inside that defined flow, i.e., there are no external dependencies. My experience working with a number of Agile teams tells me that the assumptions just listed for scheduling in Scrum and Kanban methods do not hold. Many Agile teams are relatively large and quite heavily siloed by skill and function, which means that meaningful daily discussions about scheduling are difficult, if not impossible. The teams are also situated in many countries, many time zones, different languages, different cultures, sometimes even employed by different organizations, which again makes the collaborative model very difficult. Frequently, the teams are dependent on other teams to perform tasks that facilitate theirs, which means they are heavily dependent on those other teams. And frequently, the teams do not follow the same workflow for all tasks. I strongly believe that the reality of the situations in many, if not most, Agile teams mean that it is not possible to rely on ad hoc and embedded scheduling techniques to schedule effectively the work that the team is doing. The decision-making processes around the scheduling of tasks and resources requires more scaffolding and support than is outlined in current Agile frameworks. Models already exist to provide structure to dynamic scheduling, to working out task allocation on the fly. Two common models are called dispatch scheduling and job shop scheduling. In dispatch scheduling, the process of assigning staff and resources to tasks in real time or near real time is performed by a centralized dispatcher, a person or organization, using some kind of prioritization framework or algorithm. This is the model used by emergency services and by taxi and courier firms. In an Agile team, this would involve a person controlling the schedule and assigning tasks to team members. This is essentially a traditional project manager role that does not sit well with the Agile ethos. Job shop scheduling, which I shall go through in a moment, involves using decentralized algorithms to perform this process. A job shop is a type of manufacturing or engineering operation in which small batches of a variety of custom products are made. Specialist equipment and functions are grouped together into stations. When a job arrives in the shop, it travels through the various stations in a possibly unique sequence of operations. In order to schedule the work of the job shop, three important pieces of information are necessary. First, the processing requirements, the route through the shop, and the prioritization algorithm that will be used at each step. The first step in scheduling is to identify the specialist steps, tasks or operations that each job or backlog item will have to pass through when being processed by the team. These steps are identified during the refinement of the backlog, and particular attention needs to be paid to any steps that need to be performed outside the team. Each specialist operation that the job passes through as it is processed by the team is preceded by a bin or queue, where the job is prioritized based on the shop algorithm. When a particular operation is completed, the job is then passed to the bin of the next step in that job's sequence. Tracking the lead and cycle times, i.e. how long each job is waiting in each bin and how long it is being worked on, and the position of the job in the route that it has planned is the basis of control. There are a number of algorithms that can be used to prioritize the work in the bin at each operation. The simplest is first come, first served, where jobs are prioritized in the order in which they are received into the bin. Earliest due date is a prioritization process that ensures that the jobs with the shortest finish date are performed first. The shortest processing time algorithm prioritizes those tasks in each bin which will have the shortest duration. and weighted shortest job first prioritizes by a combination of the duration of the task and the value or income that the task generates. If you're interested in more training and coaching in the application of dynamic scheduling techniques in Agile teams, please see my website www.jnu.uk or contact me at jnu@jnu.uk. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it's been of value to you.